Hey bunnies, for this video I've decided for the first time in a long time to do a 12 by 12 layout, and this is literally the first time I've worked on a big 12 by 12 page in 2 or maybe even 3 years. I've done Project Life, Smash Booking, I've done mini books, and I've even done 8 by 8 sort of pre-bound albums. But this is the first time I've been working on a 12 by 12. Doing this today, and there's no FaceTime at the beginning and the end where I introduce it because I look terrible because wasn't well in the night. But wanted to get a quick video done, so I'm going to do this 12 by 12 layout, and it's actually a really good opportunity for me to get back into this form of scrapbooking, and so it's nice that this is giving me the chance to do that. So I've picked out all the supplies and I know what I'm going to be doing with this, so I'm just going to be putting it together. So my style of 12 by 12 scrapbooking is very similar to Chanel Lane's, and I've watched a lot of her videos, and I really like that quite graphical style. I've seen other I'll just get started. I've seen other people's videos like Celine Navarro, I think her name is. That's terrible, I can't fully remember. And other people who do like really beautiful layering and misting and really artistic pages, and I wish that I could scrapbook that way. But whenever I do that, it just seems to end up an inky, blotchy mess. And there's obviously some artistry to it that I just never really managed to capture. So I find it very difficult to do that more free-form artistic scrapbooking. So what I've chosen is I've chosen this to act as a background for this lovely big heart. And actually, when I bought this page, I had very much intended to put one picture on it to leave the heart big, and I think I'd kind of intended to use this picture, which is a very special one for me. But I wanted to have teal because this is going in my sort of holiday album from the holidays we take you to Germany, and so the teal is one of the big colours in that album, so I knew that there was going to be teal in this. So I'm going to chop this down so that there's just 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So I will grab my trimmer and cut this down. Now the heart's right in the middle, but I think that's because it doesn't go all the way to the edges. I can probably trim off 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and I'll still look great. Now this is quite a recent paper, so if you really like it, you can buy it because it's still current, and it's Crate Paper's Kiss Kiss line, and it's called Sweetie, and it's got this lovely print on the back of little hearts saying sweet, XOXO, love, hug, wink, beeline. So it's really pretty paper. So I'll just take off the branding strip and then cut off 1/4 of an inch from each side. Now this picture here is special to me because in this picture I am 7 weeks pregnant with my first baby, Naomi, and we'd been trying for years to conceive and hadn't, and we were really thinking that it probably wasn't going to happen and that maybe we would try IVF or look into adoption, depending. But then right before this picture was taken, and we went on this holiday, this weekend trip we make each year to Germany, I took a pregnancy test, not expecting it to be positive, but just because I'd been feeling a bit nauseous in the mornings. And it was positive, and we were so happy, but also for anyone out there who's had fertility problems and like been pregnant and worried about it the pregnancy not making it, worried about losing the baby in the early stages. It's a very nerve-wracking time, but we were so hopeful, and just, I think this is a very sort of genuine smile, and I was so thrilled. And now, obviously, scrapbooking this far into the future, I now have Naomi, and she is the most beautiful little darling you could ever have hoped for, and it all works out all right. And so I'm really glad that I have this lovely picture to scrapbook. So I wanted to have this on a straight corner, and then this rounded corner is here to emphasize the roundness of this heart. So this is my this is going to be my background. I'll just put this forward slightly so you can see. And I'm going to ink around the edges. Not too much, just a little bit to make it stand out a bit. And then use my ACG gun to stick this down. Just put a little bit in the middle. And line that up and pop it down. There we go. And now I'm matting this photograph onto a teal and pink sort of floral print, and it just adds it's not a plain matte, it just adds a little bit of detail and interest, and brings out the teal that's in the border strip, because this is obviously a very big pink element with this heart, so adding in a bit more teal. Now I know that I'm going to be wanting to tuck embellishments and things under here, and so I won't totally stick this down to the page. And before I do that, actually, I wanted to emphasize the distressed nature of this page, and I want there to be a lot of little embellishments. So I'm going to be using some stickles to add little dots in pink and teal, but also, and this is one of the things that you can do with the gelatos, is I'm going to use them to add some paint drops. And I want to be adding detail in sort of like a curve like this. So just basically so the almost like most of the embellishment will be in this corner, just a little bit up here and a little bit across here. One of the things you can do with these gelatos, is use them to sort of make an ink. So if I just, I've got a dish of water here, just a saucer, and if I just keep adding this pigment until it looks quite opaque, pop that away, and then just stir all in. And it's got a slight metallic shimmer to it, and I'll see if this is opaque enough by just trying it on this piece of scrap paper I've got here. And I just want to, yep, that looks like it's going to be opaque enough for me. Yep, so this is the, if I can bring this up to the camera maybe, this is the effect I'm going to go for around the edge of the page. Just tilt that slightly, you can see that. And so it's, I don't have a teal, I use Mr. Huey's inks for when I am going to be doing any distressing like that. Sorry, I just went off camera to get a baby wipe to clean up this ink splodges. So I have Mr. Huey's in black and white and maybe brown and pink, but I don't have it in teal, which is the colour I wanted. But using just a little bit of water in a dish, I can create lots of different ink drops with these gelatos. And before, when I didn't have all the colours, I could just mix yellow and red together to make an orange and stuff. They're really super versatile. They're one of my favourite products. So I'm going to bring this back, and I don't want there to be too much on the page. I want it to be heaviest here, just a tiny bit up here. So a little more here, especially, and most in this corner. So So really just go for it there. I'm really just winging it. I don't have a particular strategy in mind. I'm just going to grab a little bit more and go for some big splodges in the corner. And because this is quite light, this is just almost dried almost instantly, so I'll just give it 2 seconds to dry. Now I can put that out of the way. And it's just how I wanted it, so the majority of the ink is in here, but there'll be more stuff. So if I put this to the side, clean up with my baby wipe. And actually I didn't notice, but some of the spots just got on these 3x4 cards that I'm going to be using, but that's okay because the whole layout is going to look slightly distressed. Okay, so now massing up this. Now I could have gone for curved edges on these, but I'm using these 3x4 Project Life cards as some detail and layering and as a journaling card. This one's got a little baby pin on, and this one's got these really cute little onesie baby vests. And I could round the corners of these two, but I couldn't round the corner of this one because it's got sharp corners on it's got a teal border with sharp corners. So if I chop this corner, it might look a little bit weird having the sharp corners surrounded by the round corners. I think it looks fine the other way around, like in this one it's the round corner with the sharp, but the other way around I don't like. So I never tend to round a corner if there's a square element that's going to be next to it. So I'm just going to quickly ink this up. And bring this back, and it dries really fast because it's quite a light, just a spackling, I suppose would be the proper term. It's just a very light dusting of the paint. I find that sometimes with the Mr. Huey's it could be very heavy, really. So I'll put this here. And then I want these three to all be at an angle, and I want this one go like this, and then like this. And I had this all arranged. I'll just lift this up while I figure out exactly how I want this to go. There has to be a lot of room for journaling. There you go. And I'm going to have a title here and then my journaling. So if I just lift these up, and maybe I'll washi tape them together. So that they stay in the position that I want them to. Now this is a washi tape I got in a kit. It's very wide, as you can see, and it's it looks sort of like an airmail print. It's white with the red and blue stripes. Now I don't particularly I'm not a particularly big fan of this washi tape, and what I tend to do is if I end up with a washi tape, either because I got one in a kit, although I don't subscribe to any kits at the moment, or if I get one as a present from someone that it's not quite my style, my husband, or if I just buy one, which I did previously, and it comes through and I try using it and it just doesn't you know, fit with what I was hoping that it would be, then I will use it for all kinds of things like this, sticking stuff together, piecing back together, where I've accidentally cut things apart with my strimmer that I didn't intend to, or I often use it for if I'm doing any stitching with embroidery threads. I'll use it to anchor the loose ends. So I tend to keep like a roll of washi tape. I'm not that fond of to hand to use for just little bits and bobs. Okay, so if I want this to be at a slight angle, so there we go. And I've made sure not to put ink like right to the edge on any of this, because I'm going to be wanting to now use these hearts. Now I went to my Sizzix machine and I cut out a whole bunch of hearts from this teal and a whole bunch of hearts from this hot pink to match the teal and hot pink on this border edge. And now I'm just going to be sticking these down, you know, and some of them I'm going to tuck in behind. Oh, I think this is the first time I've used this new glue one. I have to check and see that. Yeah, it says just to start. So this one you have to kind of start off. Push the tip in several times until it's glue. Okay. Oh, and if you can see that on the camera, it's just starting to turn blue now. Might not be able to pick it up. But when you're using these pens in the beginning, you have to sort of dab them a lot to get the glue to come through initially. Just in case you didn't know that was how they work. Stick that one on there. And I'm really just going to be sticking these down, not randomly, but just, I'm not going to plan it too much. I'm just going to place them where I think that's appropriate. I'm placing this one next to a couple of little dots in the corner to accentuate those little dots. I think a nice heart in here would look good. Now I'm thinking about what I want the title to be, and also what I want my journaling to be. I didn't want it to be too much journaling. I mean, it's a lovely story, but it's quite personal. And so, you know, just the maybe if I stack these three like this, how does that look? Before I stick it down. Yeah, actually I quite like how that looks. Really emphasizes the heart motif. And now the reason why I don't want too much embellishment on this page, really, I mean, this is quite embellished, but there's a lot of open spaces. Obviously this lovely big heart in the background, we want to emphasize that. There, I'm going to stick on. So I'm really just being very casual about sticking these down. Don't need to overthink it too much. Oops. And I just thought I would do this whole page in real time rather than stopping and starting, because hopefully it shouldn't take too much longer. Although this is a slightly fiddly process of just sticking these all down. Now, I want one quite far up on the page on the left in teal. There we go. Now that I've got put down quite a few, I can see where I think I need some more. Maybe one there. And I'm sort of happy with how that is. I think I'd like one tucked in behind here. And just a fraction showing, so you, almost if there wasn't loads of other hearts on the page, you wouldn't really know that was a heart. I think maybe a small blue one overlapping that. There. And then maybe some more just around the photo. Whoops. The pink hearts are cut out from quite a light paper, so they're a little bit more flighty than the teal ones, which are happier to stick down. Now just give these a good old stick down just to make sure they're all adhered. And now I'm going to grab a alphabet. Now I haven't chosen the alphabet because I wanted to look and see how I thought it looked. So I'm going to bring out my box of lettering, and this one I think was the first one I found. I think looks quite nice. I'll check that I have the lettering I need, but the title I think I'm going to go for is Happiness. Now if I can remember how to spell that, I think it's with H-A-P-P, and I think it's an I, not a Y. There are no more N's, but I can just make one out of an M. There are no more E's, but I can make one out of a C, and 2 S's, which would be very difficult to make. So I will grab these. And now I think I'm going to I'll just use the packaging of the thing itself to grab these and put them out. So I can check how big it is, and maybe this will be too wide a title for this space I need, in which case I'll have to rethink it. Then I will grab this, and if I grab my detail scissors, and just to, it's easy as pie, grab the M, just snip the back off, like the front part, and then we have an N. So that's really easy on this particular alphabet. Grab a C, but I'll turn that into an E if this is working out. I'll pop these to the side. Move these hearts away, although I may, once I've put the title down, I might want to. I think I'm going to want to put this as close as possible, so where there's a bit of gap here I probably won't do that. And I'll probably want to anchor it on the edge of the frame. See, that's a nice line where I can just put this down. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. If I take this C, and I'm going to be turning it into an E. So I want to turn this into an E, just snip off a bit like that. And then I'll grab a Q, because I'm unlikely to be using lots of Q's. I will snip off the curve and then just line that up in there. So it just involves a bit of fiddling, usually, with what letters you've got left. But often, if you are missing letters, you can fiddle faddle, as I always say, and make it work. So here we go. I'll stick this down. There we go. Then I'll bring it up to the camera a bit. And there's the E. And when you're browsing through this album, I think the fact that it's not actually an E will be impossible to discern, even if you look quite closely. You know, if you really examine it, you can probably tell. But I do this quite a lot with Project Life. If I don't have the letters I want as well, I'll just make them up with bits of other ones, and you really just can't tell. So it's fine. It's an easy trick. I really want these layers to be very close together. There you go. Just lift that one up and put it even closer together. And now that I've done this, all that's left is the journaling, which I'll just quickly do off camera. And seeing if there's anywhere else I want to put hearts, and putting on some teal and pink little stickles. Now, I'm really liking how that looks. It's really, really pretty. So I like teal and pink together. I think it's a lovely colour scheme. And just looking at this, seeing if there's anywhere else I want to put hearts. I think I'm happy with that. Just see if I might want one here. Yes, I think one tucked in behind there, just a teeny tiny one, would just sort of more emphasize this line here. We want the embellishments to be sort of curved. There we go. Don't want to tuck one anywhere else. No, I'm happy with how that looks. So now where all these dots are, I'm just going to add in a teeny tiny amount of stickles on here as well. So just adding a little bit more sparkle. And actually, because this the gelato I used is a metallic, I don't know if it comes up on the camera, but the ink does reflect the light quite nicely. So it's a really nice effect. And as I said, not as heavy as some of the Mr. Huey Studio Calico mist bottles for doing this kind of speckling of paint. Because sometimes I find that it can make it so heavy that it warps the page a bit, especially if it's not a really heavy paper. Oops, that one just got slightly... Maybe I'll just clean that up. Just dot this around some more. I'm really just adding little dots in. And when this dries, it'll be quite subtle. And I think I'll add just in a tiny bit of pink as well. And I'm trying not to add it exactly where I've got the teal. So spread it out a bit. Spread the love, that's what they say. Oops, that's quite a big one, but that's okay. Let's put a tiny bit up here. And with some of these, I'm just putting the smallest amount because it's just going to add like just a speck or two of glitter just onto the page. And now that is finished for me, aside from the journaling, which I'll add in a moment. I'm really pleased with how that looks. It is the first 12 by 12 I've done in a very long time, but it's a really special memory and photo that I've scrapbooked. And so yeah, I'm happy with how it looked. I think I'm going to go have a bit of a lie down after this because I'm still feeling a bit rough. And I think in future, or next week if I'm feeling better, I might record a few emergency videos for days like this when I'm not feeling quite up to recording so much. But there we are, and that's where I'm going to call this 12 by 12 layout done.